Hi everyone, my name is Maria and I am the Green Stitcher here on Flosstube and over on Instagram. And today I'm filming a spontaneous Flosstube. I missed you guys and I missed filming for you and sharing my stitching, to be honest. And I did say that August is going to be a busy month and a month where I'm seeing more of mine and my husband's family, but which is still true, but I still wanted to try something new, try something different. It's not probably new for Flosstube in general. Basically what I'm trying to do today is film a spontaneous video without almost any editing. I usually take quite a lot of time to film my videos, and that's one of the things that stops me from filming more often, say once in 2-3 weeks. And so I'm trying to see if this is a viable option for me to film, say once, like I said, once in 2 or 3 weeks, without much editing, with maybe a bit more prep before I sit down to talk to you guys. And I felt like I've had enough progress done already. I'm filming on Sunday, August 18th. It's the afternoon, so we get all the sunlight in this side of the house, so hopefully you'll be able to see all the things a bit better. And like I said, I'll try to do it in one take. Hopefully this works. I would really like to hear from you guys and know if you would like to see videos more often with a bit less progress, or videos once a month with a monthly progress. I would like to know what you think about this. So like I said, today I'm sort of halfway in August, a bit more past halfway, and I've got quite a lot to share. I've got some finishes, I've got some whips. I will probably show you a quick side sort of little stitchy project I've been working on in a second, and then I want to leave a haul that I've had in August to the other video that I'm planning to film at the end of August. I've had quite a few Facebook treasure finds, but I feel like with everything else it might be a bit too long, and like I said, I want to do it all in one sitting. I don't think I've been mentioned by anyone in August so far. I have been watching a lot of Flosstube myself, but all the usual channels that I have been watching before. So I don't think I have anyone else to mention myself as well, give anyone any shouts. Maybe I'll do it at the end of the month. So let's start with the little side project I've worked on, and then I'll jump into my finishes and whips. Right, so it's just a quick little one, but I think I've realized I haven't mentioned this before. So my dad actually cross stitches as well. He used to do, I think it's called straight satin stitch sort of stitching before, a few, not decades, but I want to say a good 10-15 years ago probably. And then seeing that I picked up cross stitching about 9 years ago, he got inspired and he really wanted to give it a go, and so he's been stitching for the last few years now, cross stitching I mean, and he's done quite a few projects now, and he's working on a few, and he's mostly used kits before, so he doesn't have a stash of floss or fabric at home. He does live back at home in Belarus with my mum. So what I've been working on for a few days in August was kitting up a project for him that he asked me to kit up for him. So I'll have to insert probably a couple of pictures. I'll have a start that is a digital pattern as well. So this is a pattern that he chose and bought from the designer directly, and it's a lovely pond with koi carps and water lilies. He does love, that's sort of a running theme in his stitching, is he likes sort of autumn designs, and also lotuses and koi fish and water lilies. So he chose this design. He, like I said, bought a digital copy only, and he was wondering what the best way to kit it up was, and it does use quite a lot of colors. I think there's about 34 including the metallic. And I said, look, you sort of have probably 3 options. So he could have obviously bought, you know, the DMCs per for each of the colors that he needed, because he doesn't have any stash. So that's 35 colors, and DMCs cost, they don't cost as cheap as they do in US back at home or in UK. So he didn't want to go for that option. Second option was to find someone who custom kits things up for you based on the pattern, which I have never done before, and I didn't want to do on this occasion. And so what I've done is I've taken the pattern and just kitted it up myself for my dad. I have quite a large stash of floss anyways. This is all DMC, and I literally was able to pull everything out of my stash except for one color that I've run out of, because I've been using it a lot lately. And so I've just made a floss card myself and made sort of a 1 meter length flosses on here, and it was a lot of fun, to be honest with you. It was nice to share my stash because they sit there and I don't use all of my DMCs, and yeah, it was really fun. And then the only thing that I've done, I'm still waiting for that one color to come in so I can finalize it and also make him a project bag for it. That's still on my to-do list. And then it also called for a DMC metallic color, which I don't think he's used before. And I said, look, I've got some Cryonics in my stash. You might not want to use DMC metallics, they are not the best to work with. And so I happened to have 2 Cryonics balls of the same exact gold color that was very close to the called for, in 2 different levels of thickness, I guess. One is a blending filament and one is a number 4. So I'm adding that to the kit for him, and like I said, planning to sew a project bag for him and then send it all over. My mom doesn't stitch. She used to do a bit of sewing and knitting back in the day, but she's mostly busy with gardening and learning English at the moment, so she doesn't do any crafts at the moment, as far as I know. So yeah, but she likes my project bags as well, and I just need any excuse basically to sew one up. So I'm going to make her one as well, and I'm hoping to show those to you, like I said, in the other video for August at the end of the month, or maybe big first sort of week of September. So yeah, that was a small thing I was working on besides my own projects this month. Haven't done any quilting yet. It might still be again on my to-do list. I'll see how I feel. I have been really playing it by ear so far. In the first 2 weeks of August, I've made some plans, like I said, at the end of July, and I wanted to work on some of my older projects or bigger projects and make sort of big chunks of progress on those. And what I ended up doing so far is I've been sort of hopping about on my whips from one to another, and I haven't found one to settle down on as I would want to, and sort of give it a bit more love and you know, stitch sort of 2,000 plus stitches on it. So all of my whips today, I think only one of them had progress that is a bit above 1,000 stitches, which is still good. I think what I'm trying to do at the moment is more sort of intuitive stitching, the stitch whatever I want whenever I want, and just sort of let myself go. If I made plans but then it looks like they're not working out, just let them be and go on stitching what I want to stitch in the moment. So saying that, I've managed to finish 3 projects already. Yes, they're all smalls. One of them, two of the 3 were a start and a finish this month. I'm hoping to maybe even FFO them by the end of the month. But let's start with the finish from August 1st. I think I've shown it in the previous video, end of July, and said I only managed to make a progress of 1,000 stitches on it, but because I still had a few days left in July at that point when I was filming, I managed to make more progress and finish it on the 1st of August. So this is the violin ornament, which is a Dimensions petite gold kit, and it's not your traditional 13 by 18 centimeters petite. It's a 10 by 10, but they turn out about 11 by 11 centimeters for me. And this was a start of, I think I started it 1st of January this year actually. I wanted to be done with this series, and I'll show you the rest of the ones I had already stitched before, just because we're already looking at all of them now. And I wanted to be done with it. There's 4 designs altogether as far as I know. I had stitched 2 before I started this one, and then I decided to distash the last one, which was the bells, I think, and this was number 3 and last in the series for me. I've been working on it for a few months now. You've seen progress here and there, and then I've just decided to hunker down and get it completely finished. A lot of backstitch, a lot of half stitches, a lot of color changes, but it's done and I'm really glad. They are lovely. I don't know if they're still available as kits. I had a question on my Instagram and I'm not sure. You can still buy them, but you can have a look on eBay for sure. And so the series consists of, let me show you the ones I've done before. I think this was number 1. So this is the French horn ornament. And I just love French horn in Christmas stitching in general. I have a few more designs with French horns from different brands. I have used 18 count Ada from kits on some of them, and in some others I've swapped it for stash 18 count Ada. Only reason being, I don't think you'll be able to see here, basically they all contain pieces of red felt in the kits, and some of the pieces of fabric had red stains from the red felt on them, and because the design contains quite a lot of the I wouldn't say it's unstitched space, but it's stitched over with one-stranded backstitch and one-stranded half stitches. You could still see the stains from the felt. So in some kits I had to replace the fabric with my own. So that was the first one, and then the second one was the mistletoe. They sort of, I probably did this was probably not a very logical thing to do, to stitch 2 designs with musical instrument and 1 with the mistletoe, and distash the 3rd musical instrument in the series, but that's just how it happened. So I actually love mistletoe quite a lot. I think the colors are great. I think the combination of the French knots in, actually this is dark wine red, to show the, you know, the dots on the mistletoe berries. So this looks lovely. I love these 3. So like I said, the series for me is now complete. Let me show you all 3 together. It's now complete and I'm really happy, and I don't think I have any more of a similar size dimensions gold petites. There's also a really beautiful series with birds and stamps that they have similar size, and I had 1 from the series, and those are most likely out of production and hard to find. And like I said, I really love the way they look. I am finding that I am not drawn to stitching them as much as projects, so I am sort of I've distashed the 1 bird with the stamp that I had, and I'm quite happy about that. They're beautiful and they're nice, but I feel like I've done them and I'm happy, and I want to move on and try other new things. And then I think pretty much straight away after I finished this one, I decided to stitch another Christmas design. And I, let me just look at my notes. I've made notes today on my tablet that I finally pulled out from my boxes from moving. Yes, so I thought I had another Christmas design I wanted to stitch. I had it in my plans for July and didn't have the time to do it in the end. And this is the Mary Berry by Hands On Design, and I love her designs so much. It was my first one, definitely not my last, and I have been after this one for a while. I'm not sure if it's out of production, but I find that it's hard to find at the moment, at least hard to find both pattern and buttons from the same supplier. And this is part of this Queerology series, and I think there's another design I would like to stitch from this series, but I can't find it, like I said, so I might just stop at this one. So it's this lovely Christmas wreath or holiday wreath with some buttons to imitate berries, and also a button that says Mary on it. It calls for Weekday Works and one color of Gentle Arts, and has DMC equivalents on the back. Oh, I think I actually took some of these colors. So what I've done is basically I've pulled some of the colors from Stash that are random hand-dyed threads, and then the rest I pulled from my DMC stash. And I didn't look at the key in the back for the DMC conversion, but I accidentally used 2 of the called for DMC colors basically. So this one uses quite a dark, almost black color of linen. I had this lovely charcoal in my stash, and I used this instead. So this is my finished Mary Berry without the buttons just yet. 3 of the colors are, I think I had, like I said, hand-dyed cottons, over-dyed cottons, and 3 were DMC. And I quite like the way it turned out. And I had a very good stitchy session in the park a couple of weeks ago with my niece and nephew and my husband's family, and I almost finished it in the park, but it was getting a bit cold and late, and so we went back home and I finished it at home that night. The reason I haven't put the buttons on yet, I'm not sure what I want to do in terms of FFOing it. I might want to, let me put something behind it so it doesn't shine through. I might want to do like a pin keep, or maybe Christmas ornament. I'm not sure what I want to do with it yet, so I might want to iron on interfacing, and that's why I don't want to put the buttons on yet, so I don't melt them accidentally. Once I've decided what I'm doing with this, I'm going to sew the buttons on and FFO it. And again, hopefully I'll do it by the end of the month, and I'll show you my finished, my fully finished beginning of September. Really loved stitching it. It was really fun and easy. The way the pattern is built, it has a quarter of it on the back of the cover, and then you just sort of repeat it 4 times. And yeah, I really like the colors, and I'm glad I'm using my Stash over dyes and DMC flosses. Then I had a start, but I'll show you that in a second. I'm trying sort of to go in chronological order because it's just easier to do that. Let me have a sip of some water. If we're doing no interruptions and no editing, I'm gonna have to pause for some gulps of water. So August 4th, I had a start that is still a whip, and I'll show you in a second. But on August 6th, my 2 lovely cats, Valera and Moira, turned 1 year old. They haven't quite been with us for a year yet, but they've celebrated their first birthday. We had a really nice day. I worked from home that day so I could have a bit more time with them. And they had like a celebratory breakfast with all the tasty things, and then we spent a lot of time in the garden, and it was really lovely. And so I did tell you that was my July plan. I had purchased a Cotton Pixels pattern at Nimble Thimble when I went there in July, and I wanted to start it on their birthday. The design only has one black cat, and so I had to recharge some of it to put the other one in. So yeah, I'm really glad that I'm sort of getting a bit braver and changing things and patterns to match my ideas, or sort of fit into my reality, and yeah, I think it turned out really good. Let me actually grab, I have a floss I wanted to show you. I think I've shown it before, or maybe not yet on this channel. So the design, let me show you first and then I'll talk to you about the flosses. So this is what I've done with the design. So I've moved a few elements, and I've taken one of the shamrock leaves out and added the second cat. Let me show you with my scissors. So the central cat is stitched in beads except for his tail. And so what I thought is Valera, our boy cat, who is bigger and braver, is the one who actually you know, is more adventurous and goes into the garden quite further out than Moira does. And Moira is usually hanging out next to the kitchen door, next to me, where I'm sat at my garden table stitching. So Valera is stitched in beads except for his tail, which is in DMC, because it's obviously like further away. And so I stitched Moira in DMC flosses as well. Both of their eyes are done with beads. All of the strawberries are done with beads. And then I've moved the butterflies away because I wanted to sew on a B button by Male Hill, but by the time I was done with everything else, I figured it was too big for this design and I left it out. And I think I've moved the birds around to, again, make space for the button, and then accidentally stitched them in the wrong places anyways. So the birds are completely off, the butterflies are off, and like I said, I've made some changes here to put Moira in. But I am so happy with how it turned out. I am in love, and they're both wearing red, they're sort of collars on here, but they both have these sort of red harnesses that go around their front paws and their back. So here they are. I absolutely adore this. I'm so happy. And like I said, this was a start and a finish. And what I've also done is, so the patterns calls for a few different shades of green. Ooh. And I was being a bit lazy and I didn't want to swap colors that much. I have this fantastic Karen Water, which one is it? Wildflower in my stash that goes from a light green to a darker green, and it's a, is it wool or is it cotton? No, it's cotton, but it's sort of a 12 weight cotton, or a pearl kind of size cotton. And so I used one strand of this to do the whole frame and all of the cross stitches in the leaves. And then I used some Stash DMC flosses I had to do the green back stitch. So you see a bit of variegation in the frame and in the leaves. I love it. I love this color a lot, and I use it a lot in these sort of foresty garden designs. I had a finish, I think last year, where I've used this floss for ferns, and it looked really nice. And I think that's all of my finishes so far in August. And then I also had a start on August 4th. And here it is. So I'm inserting a picture now while I'm picking up the frame. I have started a paradise stitch design with spider lilies and a fan. So it's part of her series of Japanese designs with fans. There's quite a few already. You can find her patterns on inspireuplift.com, and I quite like this designer, and I have stitched quite a few designs from her. And the reason I started this one on August 4th was my stitchy friend Lera from lerastitchpower, who I've mentioned here many times on this channel, had her birthday on August 4th, and I was trying to pick a design to start for her birthday, and remembered that we both shared the love for this particular designer, and I thought, what better way to celebrate her birthday than with this start. She had already stitched this one. I think if you have a look at her channel, you can see her finish. I think she used a grayish Lugana, if I'm not mistaken. I had dyed fabric for it, if you remember, in July or June. I'm not quite sure at this point. I think it might have been July. And it turned out quite much darker than I had anticipated, and a slightly different shade as well. I was going for sort of light grey with some mottling, and charcoal grey red dye turned out to be more of an aubergine purpley grey, which is gorgeous in the end. So I've decided to start it on this fabric anyways. So here's my small start. I've only managed to do 1,000 stitches on it. Like I said, I just couldn't settle on any projects in August, and I'm hopping about, doing 1,000 stitches and moving on. So this is 32 count Belfast linen by Zweigart, but I've over dyed it with charcoal grey liquid red dye, and this is all stitched in DMCs, and the whole pattern calls for DMC colors. This one doesn't use as many colors as her other patterns do, and so quite nice and easy to kit up, or you know, start and make good progress on. It uses a lot of one-stranded half stitches and cross stitches, and gives you this really three-dimensional look. And so I think this is the way you'll see the fabric the best. I really love how it turned out. It's this really moody, like I said, aubergine, purpley grey, and I've only made a tiny start, but I'm happy about it already. I've got this lovely red shiny coffin needle minder from Kate Blanford, who I've already, like I said again, mentioned before on this channel. And I felt like, because I'm going to have the red spider lilies on the design, it fit perfectly. And if I'm not mistaken, in Japanese culture, they signify death and rebirth and a new start and that sort of thing. So like I said, red shiny coffin made a lot of sense for the needle minder. I had to take and use some of my older clip in LBC frames because I ran out of my other scroll frames, and I'm not the biggest fan of the tension they give, but I just really wanted to have a really comfy start, not use the round nerge hoops, and this worked really well. So yeah, I'm going to go on stitching on it bit by bit, and I'm really glad I started it on August 4th. What else? Let's have a look. Alright, I think the rest of the designs I had worked on are all whips, and they're all three. I have no idea how this happened, but 3 of them have the word garden in the name, and the 4th one is sort of garden related as well, because it has the word flower in the title. So apparently I am on the same wavelength of my brain as Elizabeth from Savory Stitching, who is stitching flowers and plants in August. Like I said, again, they all had a bit of progress, and I wish I had made more probably, but it is what it is. One of my favorite and oldest whips is the Japanese Garden by Dimensions, and I've shown it to you quite a few times before, and I haven't made enough progress, and it lives in this bag with Japanese waves, and I have all the kit flosses, and I'm using the kit fabric, which is 16 count Ada in light blue. And like I said, I've only got I only had 6,000 stitches left on it at the end of July, and I was really hoping to make very good progress in August and have it finished as soon as possible, and I only managed to do 1,000 so far. So I might still pick it up closer to the end of the month, but once you get into these trees it gets a bit chaotic, and you have to do a lot of counting, and it's not very it's not that it's not very logical. It's not, you know, you're just stitching random splotches of colors, and only once you're done with all of them will you see that you're stitching trees. So that's yeah, that has not been the most interesting. So I've only managed to do 1,000. I think I've worked here and done some of the green half stitches, worked a little bit on the trees, done some of these purples and pinks. I tried doing, you know, color completing and then doing some of the other colors, and yeah, just been hopping, like I said, all over the place. But here's where I am at the moment. I have only 5,000 stitches left. Again, it would be great if I could make more progress and have a finish earlier than the end of the year, but we'll see what happens. It's been, I was talking to my stitchy friend, and I said, I think when life is a bit more, you know, stable and calm, touch wood, and things are not, you know, as chaotic at work, I find that I get a bit bored and I want to entertain myself with, you know, starting new things or swapping whips out quite often. And then when life gets more chaotic, or there's sort of something going on that needs my attention and my brain power, I tend to stick to one project for quite a while, and sort of the swapping projects out at that point seems more work than working on the one that I already have, that, if that makes sense. So I guess this is a sign that everything is fine and I'm just being a bit bored and trying to, like I said, entertain myself with swapping my whips. Then the next thing, so that's Japanese garden. Then the next garden I worked on was my shepherd's bush kit, and that is Halloween themed, and it is the garden spells that are being stitched on a fantastic purple fabric. There's been a lot of purple fabrics this month as well. And the project lives in this bag that I've made with Halloween cats and pumpkins, and it has the organizer with all the flosses, like I said, and a little picture of the design closer up. And so I actually again, I made quite good progress on it in the first 2 weeks of August, and this one was probably one I could have stuck with, but I decided to swap to the next project. So this is how far I've got in August. Again, another 1,000 stitches on here, and gorgeous fabric. What was funny when I pulled it out was when I compared the fabric on here and what I had dyed for the spider lily. It turns out it's almost the same color, except this is a lighter sort of shade of this aubergine grayish purple, and that one is a darker one. So maybe if I experiment, I can try and recreate this color fabric. So this is Deadly Nightshade 32 count linen. Not sure who the dyer is. It feels like Belfast as a base, and I'm stitching with 1/2 with the kit silks. And what I worked on so far in August was I think I finished the sheep even earlier, but I finished the witch. I really wanted to stitch more of her dress. I finished the little leash that the witch is holding because she's walking the sheep. I've stitched some of the stars and the moon. I was really excited about stitching the moon. I think it's a lot of fun. I stitched more on the border itself and the leaves and sort of the flowers and things around that are in the border. I think I've done a bit here, a bit there, so I've been again hopping all over the place, but mostly concentrating on this side and working on the witch. It has been so much fun. I love how it's turning out. I'm hoping, there you go. It's a bit darker than you can see when I show it up close. Purples and greens are always hard. And I love how it's turning out. Again, another Kate needle minder with a cauldron this time. And I think I've hit the halfway point here. And I think, like I said, I think I've even overshot and I'm at about 55%. You would think there's more done than half, right? But yeah, there's only half and there's a lot more to go. I think there's about 3,000 left. And again, it would be nice to finish it by Halloween, but I'm playing it by ear and seeing how I feel in terms of stitching. The next whip I have worked on that I picked up quite unexpectedly, but somehow it just fit the mood and also matched a couple of other things that happened. So I worked on my garden carps by the Owl Forest embroidery. I love this designer and I love the way they dye flosses, and I love this little series of Japanese inspired designs. There's 3, I've got 2 out of 3, so I've got the carps and I also have the cranes. And I started the carps in May as part of my mania, and I have been enjoying it immensely. So what is interesting about this series is they are using some, I don't know if you can call them specialty stitches, but it's sort of like straight satin stitches in the flowers and the gates, and I think, yeah, in the flower bushes around the gates. And so I was really looking forward to getting there, and I did, and I had the best time stitching straight satin stitches, and I think I'm in love. So my progress actually was more like 1500 on this one. I really enjoyed working on it, and I just didn't want to put it aside until I finished at least, you know, a little section. So here's where I am today. Oh, I think you can see it this way. So here's where I am today. The place I stopped at when I stitched on it in May was this row with water lilies. I had finished all of the stems and leaves in green, and I didn't finish the, you know, this one line of green stitches, and I didn't have any of the white and pink in the flowers. So I'd finished this row completely, and then I started on the waves, and I started stitching, like I said, in straight stitches. Hopefully you'll be able to see now. So I picked a 32 count witch linen in water lily for this design, and I'm really glad I did. Besides the fact that this is my favorite fabric ever and I keep on mentioning it all the time, I have other projects on the same color and I have other projects on Witchelt. What I think worked out really well is because Witchelt is tougher and sort of holds the weave better in terms of tension, it worked out really well with straight stitches, and I don't have holes as big between colors as I could have if I stitched with stitched on Belfast linen, which is much softer. And obviously for the straight stitches to keep their tension and look good and not get you know, saggy, you have to apply quite a lot of tension to your floss. So I was really glad when I started stitching it that I specifically chose Witchelt for this. And I think when I start the cranes, I'll use the same fabric obviously, but then if I ever stitch straight satin stitches again, I think I'll use Witchelt as well. It makes a lot of sense. So I absolutely loved working with variegated flosses here. You use obviously you use 2 strands, but you know, one color of the floss, and it variegates and it flows so beautifully, and you have these lovely different shades of pink and green. The white is actually just B5200, I think, and it doesn't have any variegation, but it still looks just fantastic. So I'm really, really in love with this one, even more so than I was before. And while I was stitching on it, two funny things happened. I was Skyping with my friend Masha from back at home, who had sent me a parcel with some of my purchases from Owl Forest that I'll show you at the end of the month, but also a couple of small gifts, one of which was the needle minder with the koi carps that she specifically bought for me to use for this design. And I received the package in the morning of the day when we planned our stitchy session on Skype, and so that was a lot of fun. And then the other funny thing that happened was I was working on it while I was watching the Threadgremlins, Amy, Elizabeth and Caroline, who were raving about Owl Forest, and Elizabeth was showing her new purchases and a new start from Owl Forest, so that was fun. Yeah, love this design, and I think I'm at about 27% if I remember correctly. I will say this again because I have been asked about Cross Stitch Saga before, and I feel like this is the perfect sort of gateway into using it. Owl Forest Embroidery provide Cross Stitch Saga files, so if you buy their kit, you will notice there's a little sticker with a QR code on the box itself, or inside the box, where you can scan the QR code and download the file that goes into Cross Stitch Saga app. Or if you buy the PDF, there is an attachment included in the PDF file where again you can go in and download the .saga file, upload it into your Cross Stitch Saga without any extra effort, and enjoy stitching it, where it counts all of your backstitch, specialty stitches. It shows you obviously different number of strands that you have to use. It gives you a lot of nice information about the number of stitches and the size of the fabric that you'll need if you use a specific count, and so on and so forth. So if you haven't used Cross Stitch Saga before but you really wanted to try, like I said, Owl Forest are really good to have a start with that. And my garden carps live in my Owl Forest bag that I've made specifically for all of my Owl Forest designs, with owls and green and brown that looks like forest. What I do with my flosses, I think I've shown before, is I use the bobbins as floss drops, and I make an extra hole, put the number on, and then just cut them into smaller length so it's easier to use 2 strands. And yeah, I might come back to it later in the month again, or maybe in September. It was a lot of fun, and the straight satin stitches were quite quick to make a lot of progress, and I was alternating between the white in the waves and the satin stitches just to make it a bit more interesting. Another sip of water. And I think we got to my latest whip so far. And so whilst I've been stitching on all of these, another lovely design was calling for me from my stash. It is my second ever Mirabilia, and she is the Miss Dancing Flower MD170. Oh, I am in love. I see that the Mirabilias that seem to draw my attention to them are the ones with turquoise, sort of turquoisey greens, oranges and pinks and purples, and so I was really glad to pick her up. I started her spontaneously during Mania. She wasn't planned, and same like now, she called for me from my stash and asked me to stitch on her. So she's meant to be stitched on the same linen that you just saw me stitching my Owl Forest on, the 32 count Witchet linen in Water Lily. Yeah, but I had some better fabric for it. This is a bit wonky because I still have it on my frame, on my stitching stand, but I hope you'll be able to see it properly. I just don't want to take her off because literally the moment I'm done with filming and while I'm waiting for it all to get uploaded and stuff, I'll go back to stitching on her. So here she is. Oh yeah, you can see well. So this is being stitched on 32 count Crystal Da Vinci by Picture This Plus, and it's the, I think they use Belfast as a base, so it's quite soft and nice, and it is an opalescent fabric with the iridescent this sort of greenish pinkish floss in it, and it's bluish and purplish and all the colors, and I have made really good progress on her already. I've only stitched on her yesterday and today, and I think I'm already on 700 stitches, and I'm not planning to stop on it just yet. So I've started on the dark greens, as you can see, and I'm working towards the right bottom corner with the purples to finish these ribbons and finish the right bottom corner and go up. I hope you'll be able to see the you know, the shiny floss in it. It's been so much fun working on her. I always forget how much I enjoy stitching on Mirabilia. It's just so easy and enjoyable, and it's the color changes are not that often, but then you obviously have a lot of sections with different colors next to each other, so if you get bored of the greens you can go to the purples and the other way around. And I'm really enjoying working on her. I also got a piece of fabric. Let me actually show that in my tiny piece of haul here. As part of my stitchy finds in August, I found a really good fabric on eBay, and this was a funny one. So I was actually at work and I was going into a meeting that I couldn't postpone, and the auction on eBay was finishing like 3 or 5 minutes into my meeting, and my husband happened to be available at the time, so I messaged him and I asked him to bid on this fabric for me so I could win it and stitch a Mirabilia on it as well. When I saw it, I thought it would be absolutely perfect for my one and only mermaid in my stash. So I've got this lovely Sunrise Laguna mermaid, and I do love her and I do want to stitch her, and I wasn't sure which fabric I would stitch her on. Definitely not on white. You've heard me say this before, I'm not a big fan of stitching on white fabric in general. I feel like only a few designs actually like call for it, as in, you know, look really good on it and are sort of meant to be stitched in white. She definitely wasn't in my mind, so I wasn't sure. But then when I saw this fabric, like I said, I got my husband to win the auction for me. I thought it was the most perfect fabric for this design. So this is a fat quarter, I think, of a 32 count Belfast linen, and that is over dyed by a designer I haven't heard of before. I think they're called Joderai. I'll put the name of it here. I think they have a Facebook group, and somebody was just destashing some of the fabrics they've dyed. So this is this tealy green with a bit of purple splotches, and it's an iridescent as well, opalescent I mean, with this greenish pinkish shiny floss. So I think, let me show you both of them next to each other. I feel like it's absolutely the most perfect combination. Look at this. So it's a lighter, nicer sort of shade of the same dark turquoisey greens that will be used in the frame and in her hair, and then the lilac and purple in the fabric is mimicked by the same shades in the frame as well. What do you think? And it's shiny, and it's a mermaid, right? Oh, and if that wasn't enough, the name of the fabric is the mermaid's tail. So I feel like they were meant to be. So I think this is it for now. Like I said, I won't be showing you my haul until the end of the month in case I get anything else, and I wanted to keep it sort of short and sweet, under an hour, so we can test it out and see if you guys like these more unedited, spontaneous videos that I might be able to film more often. And so I think if I look at my statistics, and I do keep a spreadsheet with all of my whips and progress, if you wanted to hear more about it someday, give me a shout and I might film a video and show you what I've done with it. I haven't used anyone else's template. I just poked around on Excel and sort of mocked together something that works for me. So if I look at the progress I've made so far, is I've stitched 6,200 stitches so far in August, which is really good progress in my eyes, and is fortunate that I was able to stitch so much, though I've been working and having more time with family. A couple of minutes of life update. We had my husband's dad visit us from Lithuania, and he stayed with my husband's sister, and we saw him a couple of times. We had like a family barbecue last weekend. That was really great. And then we went to a wedding yesterday, my friend's wedding, and that was really fun. And it was my first wedding in UK, and it was interesting to see, you know, sort of the customs and traditions of weddings in here. It was really moving and touching, and they had, you know, the vows and the ceremony. It was really lovely and beautiful. And then I think I'll insert a picture here as well, just because I'm just so proud that we've started making progress. So not only have we finished 3 shelves in the living room, we have also unpacked a couple boxes with books that had been sat in the spare bedroom for as long as we've been living here, which is over a year now. And we were really glad to finally get the books unpacked, see them, be able to, you know, just go and pick them up and have a bit more reading done, and also to just sort of motivate us to continue with our shelf project in the living room. So the plan is there's going to be another 4th shelf lower than these, and then there's going to be 4 more on the other side of the fireplace, and then we'll do like built-in cupboards at the bottom for some things that need to be stored away from sight. And so it's been a long time in the making. We're doing it all ourselves. Like I said, we're using scaffolding boards, and then, you know, sanding them and planing them, and I am that's what my husband does, sort of on the more sort of hardcore woodwork that I'm not very familiar with, and I'm doing the staining and the oiling, and then we're sort of fitting them in there. And so it's a combined it's a family project, and I'm really glad we're making progress on it. So yeah, work has been good so far. It's a bit quieter in August because a lot of our colleagues, but also our customers, are on holiday, because I think August is the month when kids are off school in UK. So a lot of people take holidays to obviously spend time with their families, but come September we'll probably see more stuff happening, and we'll be a bit busier, which is nice. And so yeah, any plans for the rest of the month so far? I don't have any more planned starts. I don't think there's anything else happening in terms of sort of anyone's birthdays or stitch-alongs that I want to join and be a part of. I will go on for sure stitching on my Mirabilia, just because I haven't yet made a progress of 1,000 stitches, which I try to make when I pick a whip up. But also because I've just really enjoyed it, so I want to give her some more love. I might go on stitching some of the projects you'd already seen just now, or I might pick something else. You'll be able to see in a couple of weeks time. I'm hoping, like I said, to sew 2 project bags, one for my dad and one for my mom, and then also to do some quilting, because I had cut up all of the fabrics for the first quilt I'm making, but haven't had a chance to, you know, sit down and actually sew them together. I hope you enjoyed this video and you had fun looking at my stitchy project. If you made it till the end of the video, I would like to do a quick giveaway. I would like to give away 2 patterns to 2 or 1, depending on who wins it, different viewers. I've got these lovely garden flower patterns in my stash. They are not new, they're vintage, and they've both been slightly gently used. This one has a slight mark from a price tag, but other than that, I think this one doesn't have much of marking on the front whatsoever. They are completely unmarked inside, and they are these lovely dimensions designs. So this one is spring planting, and I mean spring, summer, right? It works either way. So I would like you to be my subscriber. I would like you to be at least 18 years old so I can ask for your address, and I've figured out a way, I think, to send it to other countries, so I'll give it away to anyone. You can live anywhere in the world, and if you win the giveaway, I'll send it to you, if I can send it by post. And so for this design, if you want to enter the giveaway, please use the word planting. You can use it organically in the sentence or just by itself, and you will be able to you'll enter to win this lovely dimensions booklet. It's $19.95, designed by Ruth Badarian. I think that's the right way to say it, and it's a lovely wooden box with flowers. I find it really lovely and beautiful, and I just don't think I'll get to stitching it, to be honest, so I'd like to share the joy. And then the other design that I'd like to give away is designed by Barbara Mock, 1992. And it's this collection of garden quickies, and there's quite a few lovely little designs in there with cats and birds and plants and berries. And to enter to win this one, all the same rules. Don't say free, don't say giveaway, don't say win, be at least 18, be anywhere in the world, and say the word mini, M-I-N-I. So I can enter you to win this design. Again, this one is not marked. They are all, just so you know, if you haven't had a dimensions booklet before, they're all charted in either DMC or Anchor colors, so you can pick whichever palette you want to use. I think it's not recommended to mix them, but yeah. So planting for this one and mini for this one. So thank you so much again for watching. Thank you for participating in the life of my channel and my stitchy life. I am really happy to be a part of this community and see you all every sort of few weeks and share my stitching. I hope you enjoyed it and found something interesting. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments below or message me on Instagram at Maria_the_green_stitcher. Have a wonderful rest of your stitchy August, and I'll see you later. Bye!